Welcome, everybody, to another episode of My Two Cents. Thank you so much for stopping in, dropping in with me, and, spending your precious moments. Today's going to be my very first reaction video. It's by this young YouTuber that I've subscribed to recently, named @Antonio Speaks. That's his channel on YouTube. He's got a video out called Black Americans versus the World. I'm going to do a little reaction to it. So, let's go.
Black Americans versus the world. That's what it seemed like. So recently, New York City elected its new mayor, Zohran Mamdani. Now he seems like a cool dude. He kind of reminds me of Barack Obama. A lot of billionaires are against him, high-ranking elite people, so that's always a good thing. But during his winning speech, he says something kind of alarming.
New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant.
Now, although he was just referring to New York, my point is going to still stand. Black Americans are never given the proper credit. We are.
Zohran Mamdani, in my opinion, I don't think he necessarily meant it in a way where he was trying to exclude the fact of the contribution that black folks obviously brought towards not only building New York City, but building this very nation. And I do believe in that speech that he made in his after becoming mayor-elect, that he did make mention of black women, just black people as a whole. I'm not saying that we should be just happy receiving just a little shout out or anything like that, but I just don't think Zohran might have necessarily meant it in a way of excluding black folks. It's just my opinion, but let's continue.
Know who really took a hand in building this country. Now, I will say maybe he didn't mean this with malice intent, or it maybe slipped his mind. This is why I feel the way I do about politics. I don't think either side have the best interest of black people. Now, today we're going to talk about how black people, but black Americans in specific,
that's where he has this strange dynamics when it comes to politics, where he don't think either side has black people's greater interest, at hand. And I could understand where he's coming from and why he may feel that way. But I'm very aware and very alert of not trying to play both sidesism, so to speak. And I'm not saying that he's doing this necessarily, but I always like to make it crystal clear that they are racist in the Democratic Party, but there's absolutely racist in the Republican Party. And if there's a party that if racism gets exposed in, you have the greater opportunity of getting those particular people out when you're dealing on the left with the Democratic Party. That's why I believe that's the party we have to work with. That's the party that we could push to continue to be more progressive. That's not happening on the right. That's why I don't even waste my time even fancying the idea of potentially ever voting for a Republican, especially in a state that the Republican Party's in. So I always want, folks, be careful, be aware of that. Always vote, obviously, but a person of color, I just don't understand how you could even possibly even consider the Republican Party as a viable party for you to vote for. And I always say, look, if you want to see significant change in your party, that's what the primaries are for. That's where you do the fighting. That's where your choices are made, that you push out the best candidate that you could vote for in the general election, when it comes to your party. Here we go.
To be the most hated worldwide. Now, for one, this is not a diaspora video. I am a proud African American. Emphasis on the African, okay? I will say this though, I do understand a lot of the arguments. Many African Americans want to just stand alone. The same way that Jamaicans do or Haitians, we just want to be black Americans. Now the black American experience is very unique. The rights that our people have fought for and are continuing to fight for literally benefit everyone. Let's take DEI for example. The biggest beneficiary to that is white women. Crazy, right? And to bring back up immigrants, the reason that most of them are able to get into America is because of black Americans. So it's just a huge slap in the face that most of these communities are anti-black.
You know, black Americans.
You know, I know a lot of people that come from the Caribbean, and when I say the Caribbean, that includes Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. You know, a lot of people act like that's not the Caribbean, that's the goddamn Caribbean as well. And you'll get some of them folks coming over, and they act like you're a guest in your own home, right? As far as being in this country. And I'm not saying that all of them are that way, because that's obviously not true. But you have some of them that come over here and they act, you know, in that manner. You know, and I always feel like as an African American, you got to always check their ass at all times. You got to be on go time. Check their ass and let them know you here because my ancestors swung from trees. You're here because my ancestors took blows, you know, marching. You know what I'm saying? You here for all the groundwork that they laid out. So pay homage when you come here. You know what I'm saying? Be respectful. I'm not saying like you got to kiss every African American's ass. That's not what I'm suggesting. But I'm saying don't come here thinking that you are better than us. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not going to play well. Let's continue.
So the only group that fights back against white supremacy, no other group fights back against white supremacy. Every other group tries to like thread the line and like not say too much. You go through Vivek Ramaswamy's comic section and it's just white people telling him to go back to India, that they don't want him here, calling him a G. You go through FBI Director Kash Patel's comic section on Twitter and it's them doing the same thing, telling him to go back to India, he shouldn't be here, he shouldn't have a job, he's DEI.
You know,
we're the only
points here. You know, you see Kash Patel, the director of the FBI. You have Vivek Ramaswamy, you know what I'm saying? He's currently running for office, I believe in Oklahoma, governor, if I recall right. And we have a lot of these Indian brothers and sisters that come here, and they be on that trying to be model, the model citizen bullshit, you know, thinking that if they just try to play the game and do the jig and the dance, that somehow if they get close enough to that whiteness, they'll be accepted, and they'll come here and they'll try to start downing black folks. Now, you gotta pull up on them cats. And once again, I'm not saying all of them are that way, so that's not what I'm suggesting, because no group of people is a monolith, so I don't want to preach that. But I'm speaking about the ones that are that way. Black folks, African Americans, my fellow African Americans, you got to G-check them, so to speak. You got to say, nah, money, you ain't coming up in here and going to be acting like that and think you're going to be tap dancing on us like that. Not going to happen. We got to pull up on these fools. Let's continue.
Even like the Indians don't fight back, the Hispanics don't fight back, the Asians don't fight back.
Y'all can tell me if it's just me, but I just been feeling like this entire year I've been finding out that literally everybody hates black Americans, even black people all around the world. And no shade, that's probably why our ancestors said all skin folk ain't kinfolk. But at the same time, I feel like the way that people feel about us is the way they should actually feel about white people, because we didn't do anything to you.
To start off this video, take a look at this screenshot. Why are the Latino numbers so high for Trump? Now, my personal experience with Latinos and Hispanics has been very chill for the most part. I live down south in South Carolina, so I don't experience Hispanics as often. So my experiences may be different from someone living in Texas or California.
Can we just discuss the hidden animosity the Latino community has with the black people, bro? Because to be completely honest, man, you would think that being minorities would band us together. But the essays down in San Diego still acting like the Jim Crow laws are still in effect. They're like, chill.
These Houston Mexicans are racist. The Houston Latino people are racist. I'm telling you, listen, I have been dealing with them for over 12, 13 years. You feel what I'm saying? These folks are racist, bro.
Let me tell you, here in Texas, the amount of racism I've ever even come close to experiencing from Mexicans. When I was a dancer, when I was a stripper, the way that the clubs were so racist. There was a time I went to a club out in Texas, and the club told me that, oh, they don't hire girls like me. This is a club full of a bunch of, I would say, illegals. And they said, oh, they don't take girls like us. We should go down to the club down the street, the black club. Karma is beautiful. Karma is
I
beautiful.
just want to say, like that patch of like regular black hair and the rest blonde. That's just looking a little crazy, man. I mean, if you're gonna do that, like go all the way. I don't know. Maybe I'm just an old head, but uniformity should matter. I'm listening to the message too. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying it's just a little, just catching my eyes, a little crazy. But let's proceed.
And you know what's funny? I went by that club a couple days ago.
It's empty.
It's empty. Even though the racism applied to me, I still voted against all this shit. I voted against it. And guess what they did? Voted to hurt me.
Coming from a Hispanic, you know, Puerto Rican and Dominican or whatever, right? Hispanic people, they racist as fuck, bro. In my family, I'm the only one that got this texture hair. Like, I remember as a kid, like, I love my uncle, but he crazy. But I remember my uncle as a kid telling me, oh, like, you got that peasy hair and shit like that. Because everybody in my family got that slick shit, that you know what I'm saying?
You see,
so,
that's an
I'm always
important
thinking...
point to talk about. And this is where, you know, I grew up in the 80s, obviously. I'm a 70s baby. 75 to be exact. And, you know, we would grow up and I would hear people in my family say, boy, you know, that hair peasy, or even sometimes nappy or whatever, right? And, you know, I didn't realize that that's a terrible way of referencing your hair. You know what I'm saying? Those talking points came from our very oppressors. We don't have peasy hair. We don't have nappy hair. We have a natural curl pattern, you know, that's coarse. That's all that is. And it's made people, you know, put all kinds of perms in their hair, you know what I'm saying? These chemical perms that's damaged our hairs over the years, just to try to feel like we were, you know, just we wanted to appropriate, you know, and fit in. And because we would be ostracized for having our natural look, and that's very unfortunate, man. Shit, I knew, like, you know, back in the 90s, man, you know, I ain't gonna front, I had my little S-girl going, you know what I'm saying? I had that shit clicking. But, you know, I was doing all that for my hair for like what? You know what I'm saying? But I was young and I grew up not appreciating my natural, you know, hair texture, so to speak, you know. And then there'll be those talking points where they'll say, oh, you know, if you had the nappy, and like, oh, you don't got good hair, and if somebody had, you know, smoother hair or whatever, they say, oh, see, they got that good hair. And then some black folks will say, oh, yeah, I got Indian in my family, you know, and those type of ridiculous talking points. And now, you know, the way I run my household with my wife, and I don't let none of that shit fly. None of that's playing in my vicinity. There is no such thing as bad hair, okay, because of the texture of your hair, okay, or good hair, because anytime hair grows out of the follicle, that's automatically good hair. You know what I'm saying? The hell is that? It all comes down to a texture. So I don't play any of that. You know what I'm saying? So even if my wife, you know, because she grew up too, you know, same as I did, hearing these ridiculous talking points, and she'll say about, oh, good hair, bad hair, whatever, and I put the brakes on that. I'm like, nah, babe, don't say that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not with that. You know what I'm saying? You got your hair. If you feel like it's not, you know, styled the way you want or whatever, I won't let you sit up there and say your hair is peasy or nappy or, whatever. You know what I'm saying? No, if you got hair coming out of your skull, you got good hair. Okay, that's the way I feel. Let's continue.
Like, all right, my hair peasy, my hair bad. And that's until I met my wife. And she taught me about, hair textures. Now I'll be going down memory lane and shit. I'm like, damn. My family really used to be racist as shit.
This isn't surprising to me. The whole entire world is anti-black. And this is because of colorism. Mexico was colonized by white Spaniards. And the closer you were to whiteness, the better. So, I mean, I get it.
Well,
A lot of people don't understand when I say
I don't respect
that
it.
Mexicans are culturally racist. Part of our culture is to frown upon dark-skinned people. It's been passed down to us by the Spaniards, by our colonizers, by the people that conquered us, taught us that dark skin is inferior, light skin is superior.
Now, the next minority I
that's
want to
another
discuss
thing, too.
is the Asian American.
Colorism that exists. First of all, I'm not going to let nobody outside of the African American race, and I'm not going to even let anyone in the African American race play in my face like that, or talk about anybody like that, like talking bad about somebody because of their complexion. Like I will check you. I don't have to necessarily be part of that conversation, but if I even hear something like that in my vicinity, it's not going to get no airplay. And that's how I feel like we got to be. You hear somebody's talking about someone like, oh, they dark skin or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like that's something negative. Nah, I pump the brakes on that real quick. You know what I'm saying? I know how it is. I grew up as a dark skinned man. I got the complexion of my dad, and there was a lot of insecurities that came with that growing up in the 80s, because in the 80s like that, it was the Al B. Shores type of brothers, you know what I'm saying, that was pumping, and all I could say is thank God for Wesley Snipes when he put that goddamn sword through Christopher Williams' hands. Every dark skinned brother in the country stood the F up, right? We were back. You know what I'm saying? Just joking, but no, real talk. I don't play that colorism, and unfortunately that exists a lot within our community, and it came from our oppressors, right? Like Malcolm X said, "Who taught you to hate yourself?" Right? And that's unfortunate. And I don't play none of that. I don't play none of that color business. Like I got my two beautiful daughters. They come in two different tones. You know what I'm saying? But I don't let people refer to them by their complexion or nothing. Like I would check that. I will park that quick, because both their complexions is beautiful to me. You know what I'm saying? I love blackness. I be on that blackity black shit. I ain't gonna lie. I'm on that blackity black shit heavy. I love dark-skinned women, brown-skinned women. My wife's complexion, love it. You know what I'm saying? That's what I desire. That's where I see my beauty at. You know what I'm saying? And it manifests itself into my daughters. You know what I'm saying? I'm so happy for that. But growing up in the early 80s, everything I saw on TV that was considered beautiful did not reflect what I married, you know what I'm saying, or what my children are, you know what I'm saying. So I grew up not thinking that black women were the most beautiful women or beautiful at all, for that matter, and it took me some level of maturity to wake up and realize, like, nah, man, I came from a black woman, got my name from a black woman, and my game from a black woman. Little Tupac, shout out. But real talk, and then I just grew this great appreciation for black women. You know what I'm saying? Which ultimately made me a feminist. I love to tell brothers that. They usually get rattled, like and they're like, "You a feminist?" I'm like, I'm a feminist, 100% all day. Love black women. Black women are some of the strongest people on the planet. On the planet. I always say that if you don't know which way to vote, go talk to a black woman. She put you on game. Love black women. Not saying anything negative towards any of the other sisters and other ethnicities out there. They all have their beauty too. But something about that black coffee. You heard me? So let's get back to the video though.
Community. I already did a video on my second channel talking about the pick me Asian epidemic because a lot of them, they love that white validation of white gays. But we do got to talk about the very much anti-blackness within the Asian community.
Why don't you like us black people? Non-American Asians always gave me the cold shoulder. American Asians were cool and I often hang out with them. Are they just not used to us?
Partially.
Sad to say, but I know that there's anti-blackness very much so in a lot of Asian American communities. And obviously, unfortunately, anti-blackness is global. And I think like
it's a very long historical answer.
Yeah.
Some of it has to do with not being used to it. Okay, so colonization happened throughout the whole world when white colonizers took over Asia, Africa, all the other continents. And with that came the belief of anti-blackness that was instilled upon all of these communities. Now, once those colonizations ended, you were left with this homogenized community where they don't know anyone who don't look like they're all white, all Asian, all South Asian, whatever it may be. And then all of a sudden you fast forward to having technology and Western media, because again, controlled by whiteness, is pushing out this message of that black communities are gangsters, do this, they do that. And then that media gets pushed out into the world in the form of movies and TV shows. And now you take this homogenized community who has learned anti-blackness through colonization and stuff like that, on top of the fact that it's then mixed with people who are learning about these races for the first time through fictionalized television that is controlled by white media, and then you have this biased look. So when they meet black people for the first time, they're having to reconcile what they have been essentially brainwashed into thinking versus then trying to figure out what that means when they meet you and they're like, but you're not any of these things.
This claim, unsupported by facts, is the result of a well-funded misinformation campaign scapegoating black people for anti-Asian violence. The president, who spread anti-Asian rhetoric that led to the increase in anti-Asian violence, not black. Robert Aaron Long, not black. The guy in New York City who attacked 7 Asian American women in one afternoon, not black. We are done listening to oppressors tell lies about the people whom they oppress. And while Asian Americans did experience the greatest % increase in hate crimes, do you know who experienced the greatest increase in incidents of hate crime during that same period of time? Black people.
The anime community can be pretty racist. And that's not just coming from like black cosplayers getting comments like, oh, this character isn't black. But even within the representations of black or darker skinned people in anime. For example, this, whatever the fuck this is, this, the list goes on.
Now, there was recently an incident that happened on TikTok where an Asian woman, actually she was mixed with white, so she was a mixed Asian woman, and she was discussing how whenever she goes to, you know, an Asian grocery store, she side-eyes the white people.
I really am a nice person, but I can't stop myself from giving snark to the white people at Asian grocery stores. I'm sorry, I'm not sorry, I can't stop doing it. Like, I just side-eye every time I see you there. What are you doing here?
As a young black man, I understood her. It's the same sentiment that I say all the time. It's ghetto or it's cool until a white person does it. With us, you know, our rap music is always demonized. The way we dress is demonized. But then when they do it, it's trendy, it's cool. This is the same way a lot of Asians feel. Throughout history, they always made fun of them, saying, oh, they're eating cats and dogs, they're doing this and that. Now you want to go shop at their stores and eat like them. Okay, I understand your pain. But like expected, y'all, some of the biggest Asian creators on TikTok came out and defended they white people.
I just saw this hideous video by this Asian American content creator who basically confessed that she side eyes and judges any non-Asian patrons when she goes to whatever version of Asian grocery store she visits. I find this content to be so freaking tone deaf and disgusting.
I can't tell if you were just joking, but you should take this down immediately. The thing is, we all are foreigners in other people's spaces too, which means that we all experience feeling like a fish out of water.
Now, like I stated, I'm not Asian, and I feel where she was coming from. You know, seeing those other creative videos kind of enraged me. I'm like, bruh, stop tap dancing for them folks, alright?
I stand with H Mart Girl. I stand with side-eyeing white people who come into Asian spaces after spending decades, i.e. my entire childhood, watching them make fun of my food. Some of the big Asian creators who are like piling onto that girl, they be married to white men. They got that white man by making themselves small, bringing him to dim sum, bringing him to the community center, bringing him to Chinese school.
I kind of roll my eyes even more at these creators because one of them has a white husband, the other one mostly dates white people, and the third one's unknown. So already, right off the bat, I'm like, okay, I don't know if you can speak on this issue because you are already a little bit biased, and I'm sure you want your husband's age. 5 minutes of being stared at in a grocery store,
also, huh?
it will never be oppressive to white people. I think that's the nuance that all these creators are missing. I don't know why they're acting in arms like this is the most oppressive thing that we as people of color could possibly do to white people in a grocery store. And to say that we have to be super accepting. I'm not saying that white people can't shop at H Mart. I'm just saying we don't need to celebrate that they are willing to shop at H Mart. We don't need to celebrate that they're open-minded and want to try a new culture. They can just do that and exist.
You don't have to acknowledge
and we
that.
don't need to give them validation because that is the lowest bar for white pandering that I've ever seen.
Once all these minorities realize, bro, that no matter how much you ride, no matter how much you tap dance, no matter how much you bootleg, they'll never see you in the same light as them. Let's take example for our next community we're going to discuss, the Indian community or Southeast Asians. Now, Indians living in America, dog, statistically, they are great. They make the most money, have the lowest crime rate, yet still in 2025, they face a lot of racism.
Indian racism has actually gone too far. And what if I told you it was coming from little kids in elementary schools? If you guys didn't know, I worked as a part-time coding teacher where I would go to different schools, host after-school programs, and teach kids how to code. Pretty sure the students assumed I was white or Mexican because they would always talk to me in Spanish and I would not understand it. I ended up telling them that I was Indian and I was actually born in India. Their first reaction was being surprised and they said, no way. Their second reaction was going on their laptop, searching of the Indian street food and showing it to me and asking me, is this the food in your country? Mister, did you eat this when you were in India? Their third reaction was going on the internet and playing that fucking, you know the song I'm talking about, right? And for the rest of the class, I lost their focus. I couldn't get them back together because they were just messing around. Even after calling the coordinator, they kept messing around and, you know, doing the same shit over and over.
I got hate crimed and physically assaulted last night for being Indian, and I want to talk about it. I went to dinner with my friends last night. At the table sitting next to us were two couples that were absolutely wasted. When their food was delivered to them by the waiter, one of the girls knocked the food out of the waiter's hands, and words were being thrown around, which was crazy because there was not a single black person in sight. She then starts yelling at me, saying racist things about me being Indian, calling me the N-word. She walks up to me, punches me in the head twice, and then takes me by the hair, starts pulling my hair out of my scalp, holding me down. Every example of any person that looks like me fighting back flooded my brain, and I was genuinely too afraid.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yo, recording me?
Because that couldn't be no sister. A sister tuned a motherfucker up. I don't know. You needed to call on some of your African ancestors, give you the power. Because there ain't no way in the world sister's gonna sit there and let you grab them by the hair, punch them in the head. What? Boy, you could show shit split.
No, I'm on live stream.
Don't record me, buddy.
Oh, fucking hell. Right next to black people, Indians get the worst racism in my opinion. Most Indians have darker skin. I've seen Indians the same color as me or like even darker than me. So because anti-blackness is so global and colorism is global, the racism towards Indians is rampant. Now with this being the case, I feel like Indians and black people should be closer or tight-knit, but that's not the case.
So whether this is within the country of India, or whether this is when Indian people immigrate to any part of the world, whether it be on the African continent, in North America, South America, wherever. And again, I'm not saying every single Indian person, but I'm talking about Indian people generally, our society, our culture, the belief systems that Indian people hold, etc. Indian people are extremely, extremely racist, especially towards black people.
So what's your name? Anand, can I see your ID or something? No, I mean, you can call the police or I can call the police. Can I see your ID? Yeah. Let me see your ID. Yeah. Take out your ID and I'll take out my ID. Let me take out your ID and I'm gonna take out my ID. Okay, let's, can you get my phone? No, let's call the police. Give me your phone, let's call the police. I'm in my own neighborhood where I live at, working in my neighborhood by my house, and I have this man asking me, do I live here? Yes. And what's your name? Dude, I'm gonna start a civil lawsuit right now. That's what I'm gonna do. Absolutely. You gotta do it, man. But I want What's your name, ma'am? Because I'm walking in the neighborhood where I live at, and I'm getting harassed. No, wait. He's unnecessarily playing us.
But we took my car for the
Yes. Bring my phone. I don't have my phone. Get my phone.
Come with me and get the phone.
I will. Get my phone. Because this guy will escape otherwise. Get my phone. Get my phone.
Come with me.
Yes. Get my phone now. Please. You see this man right here? I'm gonna keep him a distance back. He's steady walking up on me like this. Y'all see this? Yep. I know that this is not your house. This not my house, but I live in this neighborhood. You don't got it. Listen, I don't. You don't live in this neighborhood. You don't know where I live at, sir. You can't not tell me where I live at, and I'm not gonna pull out my ID and show you where I live at. I know you live right here, and I live in this neighborhood. You have a blessed day, sir. No, you have a blessed day, sir.
But I won't out where you got, bitch. You got me up. Sitting here, going into a party, asking if you good. Bitch, you been staring at me with your fake ass eyelashes. I don't get out of my face. Stop sitting here.
Also, as of recently, Twitter had a new update. You can now see the country that these Twitter accounts are from. And guess what? Some of the biggest / white
respect for whatever restraints she's shown, because I know that people have the freedom of speech, but nah, you ain't gonna be up in my face, playing in my face, calling me that N-word. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to jail and you going to the hospital.
Pages were from non-white people.
MAGA is freaking out right now because Twitter, which prefers to identify as X, released this new feature in which you could actually see the country of origin of an account, and it's now being revealed that a lot of these MAGA accounts out there with hundreds of thousands of followers that have a big influence online are actually based in other countries. The way my jaw stayed in place. So I could literally go through like 1,000 of these accounts, but I'll show you just a few. Like this account, America First Verified. Well, turns out this account is based in Bangladesh. Wow. How about America Man, based in Indonesia? What about MAGA Nadine over here? Oh, it's probably some dude based in Morocco. Okay, Mary Tiles, Texas, you sure post a lot of pro-MAGA stuff online. Oh wait, you're from Russia? Interesting. Like I said, I could keep going and going. Nigeria. This is a major account that always gets Elon Musk's attention. This is based in India. This Ivanka Trump fan account based in Nigeria. This big MAGA account is based in Papua New Guinea. This one's from Serbia. Ultra MAGA Trump 2028, Nigeria. Dark MAGA Coin, Thailand. The MAGA Beacon, South Asia. MAGA Nation, Eastern Europe. Aaron Trump News, Eastern Europe.
Like, these pages are really part of the propaganda of why a lot of people feel the way they feel about black people. And with me seeing these accounts from Nigeria, it's like, damn, even other black people hate on black Americans.
No one, and I mean no one, does anti-blackness better than a black immigrant, or like a black person from the Caribbean or a black person from Africa or wherever else in the world that doesn't like African Americans. No one. And it's not even funny anymore. I'm legit concerned because they be the greatest coons. Like, they'll say the most out-of-pocket, outlandish stereotypes or negative thing about African Americans, and I have to think to myself, where did this come from? Who told you this information? How do you know this? And it's even crazy because sometimes you'll find people that haven't even been to America, has never encountered an African American in their lives saying these things. And it's crazy because the way they talk about African Americans, you would think African Americans are the furthest demographic from them, right? Put a black immigrant that can't stand African Americans on the phone and you'll be talking to a nationalist. Oh, they're lazy. Oh, they're thieves. This is what they do. They're criminals. This is what white people say about you.
I feel like it's the media's fault. The way they portray Africa, you know what I'm saying, in teepees and huts, that's how we see Africans. And then the way they see black Americans is violence, gangs. So it's already a disconnect.
African immigrants do not view racism the same way as black Americans because we are looking at it from two completely different perspectives. Africans grew up in majority black nations, black culture, black leadership, and black everything being the norm on a day-to-day basis. It's not the core part of their identity because everyone is majority black when they look around. Black is the default. So off rip, they are not looking at things through a racial lens. But black people in America look at everything through a racial lens because we are the minority in a country that was built off of our oppression. And the entire system was designed not only to exclude us, but to capitalize off of that exclusion. So systemic oppression is the struggle that black Americans are dealing with on the home front.
Right there.
Struggles that people are dealing with.
You know, no one knows systemic oppression like black folks here in America, you know, because we're looking at it really from that racial lens, like she's saying. You know, that's been our continuum, you know, our constant experience here in this country. And so when you have, you know, like, an immigrant person of color come here and say, you know, well, why, you know, is everything got to be, you know, racist, blah, blah, blah. Because everything is fucking racist. You idiot. Everything is racist. You just got here. You just got here 2 minutes ago. My people been here, dragged here, kidnapped here in chains since 1619. Up until now. The hell do you mean, why do we look at things from that perspective? And then when you have the nerve to suggest that we're racist because we're speaking out against the racism, now you can't play with these type of people. I'm telling you, my African American brothers and sisters, and even my black black people from abroad that doesn't co-sign this bullshit, you gotta park that shit. You know what I'm saying? My Caribbean brothers and sisters, if you got people in your family saying stuff like that, park these people. Check them. So what the hell what do you mean? Are you talking about what African Americans are doing and saying the worst about them? Because when you come here to this country, they're not stopping to think if you're Caribbean or whatever. You're a person of color to them. And they're going to deal with you accordingly. So you got to check these people. You know what I'm saying? Educate them. Let them know that that's not going to fly. You know, not everybody is going to receive the education and learn and grow from it. But, you know, then you just air them out and keep it moving. And I'm not speaking in a violent way. You verbally air people out. You check them. You don't allow no safe space or no safe shelter for that type of talk.
Within Africa are due to a failing or underdeveloped system. Poverty, corruption, lack of opportunity, economic instability, which is really the legacy of colonialism and neocolonialism. So in their minds, they see America as having a functioning system. They see America as full of opportunity compared to back in Africa. So they come here and they focus on individual advancement, where black Americans see the system as being historically and currently rigged against us. We are not immigrants. We are people from whom system was explicitly built to oppose.
That's it for this video, man. If you are a minority, drop your thoughts down below in the comment section. And if you
Antonio speaks, you know, I'm gonna wrap my video up as well. You know, me myself, I always like myself. Like I'm not down with any of that ADOS, you know, or FBA type situation. I love my brothers and sisters of color from the entire diaspora. You know what I'm saying? But I understand that sometimes that sentiment isn't shared. And I know sometimes African Americans get a little bit fatigued, and it makes us not want to trust or fuck with people from abroad that look like us. But I try to offer always, you know, the benefit of the doubt, see where that person is coming from. Because there are plenty of brothers and sisters that are real ones that may be African, maybe Caribbean or whatever, and they understand the struggle, they understand the pain, you know. They're under similar oppression too. You know, they were oppressed by the Europeans as well, just different. And those ones that are woke, you align with, that's your brother and sister. You know, and bear in mind that you have African Americans right here that are the building blocks for white supremacy. So they're not your brother and sister either, even though they grew up here in this country and have the same experiences as you have. Some of them just want to tap dance and buck dance, you know, for master. And that's your op, you know? So that's how I judge it. I don't automatically say just because you're an African American that you part of my tribe or part of my family. Because not all, you know, not all kinfolk, all skin folk is kinfolk. You know what I'm saying? As they would say. So you got to kind of judge on an individual basis, and I think for the most part, that's how you should always handle things, and on that type of time. But guys, look, thanks so much for stopping in. You know, leave a comment. You know, trying to grow the channel. Let's see what happens. Just want to continue building an audience and keep getting better, and I'm always up for, you know, people's opinion on what I could do to improve this. But thank you so much for taking the time out. Share with me. Hope you guys enjoy the holidays. You know, peace.